extorting the operators for money for that negative PR point of view was more successful for them. I've spoken with some guys who have like zero understanding of this one. By default, you're operating illegally. And you cannot go to the, a local lawyer office and tell them, okay, this domain is abusing my brand traffic, I want to take it down. And there's so many variables that you're always kind of betting that you can make the right conclusion. No kind of update is kind of forever. If it works, it works. I think the biggest influencer lately has been Donald Trump. I don't want to name the company, but let's say out of 10 websites, 5 were either offline or they were like dead. Some of the public affiliates, they were on a buying spree, they were acquiring some smaller companies or projects. I don't think that worked out for at least some of the companies out there. What has got the most traction in the last few years has been streaming. SEO and affiliates are usually a great source of traffic, but I would say that it's not going to grow exponentially.
And what is the biggest threat to affiliate SEO in iGaming?
I think that the biggest threat is just the way I see it, the one-dimensionality of most of the affiliates. Like they are, let's say, 100% SEO, like 90-something%. They are 90-something% in one niche. And very often they're like huge percentage of the revenue coming from one geo.
Okay.
So if something happens when it comes to the Google results or their competition with this approach in general, or with this approach versus other approaches, with this niche, with this geo, things can go insanely volatile when it comes to rankings and revenue and sustainability. For example, in 2022, the best performing affiliate of which I've read was just one streamer called Trainwreck. He's a complete degenerate gambler. Yes, maybe he's gambling with virtual money, but on crypto casinos. But he was, I think, very handsomely paid. So to say, I mean, according to his words, he got paid 300 plus millions for a bit over 1 year from some of the biggest crypto casinos out there. And I mean, imagine his costs are, having a PC, 2 monitors, internet connection, microphone. I mean, basically that's his, kind of expense. Yes. Maybe he has a team of, let's say, a couple of people who are doing something with him, helping him out. But like, let's be honest, like he's kind of a streamer who's just, just auto betting on some slots, and he's just doing that forever. Yeah. And he earned for 1 year something, I mean, according to his 300 million. So even if we discount 50% of it, that's still an insane number. Yes. And according to some other people, that's probably, correct. And compare that one to the profits of the biggest affiliates out there, like of which we know of, because they're public companies. Let's say Better Collective, Katina, RakeTech, A Crowd. I mean, I was basically trying to understand how much revenue they've got, because they're listing that on the public markets, and trying to make some estimates for some other affiliates. Just trying to see, okay, if they had that many revenue, how much profit they had. And let's say that if what Trainwreck is saying is true, he probably earned, I mean, he definitely earned more in terms of profit compared to 5, 6, 7 corporations and their profit. That's for crazy. That year in total. Yeah. And even you can add a lot of private ones. So I'm just saying that to break the to try to challenge the stigma that you have to, if you do SEO, you have to do SEO kind of forever and not really diversify into other marketing channels. No, if you can go into some other marketing channels, be it whatever forum, streaming or YouTube, whatever. If you can go and do that to diversify your business, long term, it's probably better for sure. Because yes, in the short term, you might want to focus on one thing and reach a certain state where you're comfortable. But diversifying away from SEO long term, I think, is something which is badly needed for lots of companies. Also, when it comes to the niches, yes, maybe you're great at iGaming, but I mean, just go and try maybe some other niches, because diversifying especially for the mid and the large companies, I think it's badly needed. Or let's say when it comes to geos, if you are making, let's say, 80% of your revenue from, let's say, Germany or the UK, and you did that before any significant regulation impacted the operators and the affiliate relationship they had with their partners, it means that you probably lost overnight, especially, for example, in Germany, let's say 50% of your revenue, just because because of the local jurisdictions and the local regulation, you had to work with regulated brands who were paying significantly less compared to the offshore ones. And I mean, you can imagine just, starting the year off knowing that you're going to make for the same number of traffic and value 50% less.
Yeah.
So diversifying and trying to make some kind of balance, I think it's needed. And the last thing, we covered the geos, we covered the marketing channels.
Yeah.
I think the SEO approach is also very important. Before, let's say 2020, 2021, there were like lots of, I would call them hardcore SEO websites, which used to work. So just the normal exact match domain, which was just like with 1,000 pages, which were for money keywords, trying to rank for best online casino, new online casino, whatever. Yes, maybe you had some kind of blog, educational ones, not because you were expecting someone to really read it, but most because you wanted to get the traffic, you want to, get more relevancy and connect it to your own product. But usually most of the websites, especially the affiliates ones, they're basically they have no product feature really. Yeah, maybe they have, but it's like SEO specific, and this is not something which is probably long term going to be as sticky as having a user-led product feature. Like for example, Casino Scores is a great, first of all, affiliate, platform for casino players and users. Casino.org has some unique features like the oldest 20-year-old news journalism in the industry. Casino Guru has the responsible gambling trainings and some awards and stuff like that. Ask Gamblers has the biggest database. The Hendon Mob is the biggest database for poker players and their winnings and so on and so on. Like there's quite a few of affiliates who are having some product features which are not copyable by everyone else, or if they copy them, that doesn't mean they're going to get traction.
Yes.
So this long term, I think, is a great thing to try to make your static affiliate website work and have a longer runaway. Otherwise, you're just competing based on some normal the standard content on page links, and you're just trying to make it perform better over long periods of time. But if you don't have the product side, the users who are visiting you directly, you don't have the user experience from that point of view. If you have no uniqueness in product features, I think you're prone for disruption. And I think lots of affiliates found out this one between, let's say, 2019 and 2022. So the changing the approach, if you're used to using, let's say, the one-dimensional affiliate websites for gambling, let's say I think it's a must. You have to go and try parasites, or let's say even Quora and Reddit type of affiliation. Try repurpose domains. Go and create maybe a website which is with a bit different point of view and product uniqueness. Just buy a repurpose domain and just try to do something which is different from what you used to do, because the one-dimensionality of most companies means that if at that point of time this geo niche and approach is working great, you can really climb very high in terms of revenue and the size of the company and everything. But if Google changes or the local regulation changes, you can go very fast on the way down. So it's very risky. And eventually, if you reach a mid to large scale, you have to start diversifying. Otherwise, I think long term you're ripe for being replaced in the subs.
Yeah, so the key is to diversification.
If you're a 1 or 3, 4, 5 man show type of companies, maybe your revenue can go. It can be it can climb and fall drastically, and you're going to be fine. But for mid to big organizations, I think that's necessary. And I think especially the public affiliates, the iGaming affiliates which are on the public market, I think they're showing that because they've had very steep drops in their share price because of their performance. So like Catena Media has had very rough years. RegTech and A Crowd has struggled as well. So again, on the way up, you can have great time, but eventually if Google changes and other people are adapting better and faster and you're not, you might want to reconsider your long-term strategy and try to
Sure. So what are currently the most effective traffic acquisition strategies?
I would say SEO is is a channel which is usually great. I mean, and
Reliable.
yeah, SEO, and I would connect it to affiliates because I mean, let's say either the operators make the traffic themselves or the affiliates and they send it to operators. So SEO and affiliates are usually a great source of traffic. But I would say that it's not going to grow exponentially because I mean, in order for it to grow exponentially, you need people to have the user behavior to go and search on the search engines for, I mean, that kind of product or service. I think what has got the most traction in the last few years has been streaming, like the example of Trainwreck, or for example XQC. Basically, one person who is streaming and can make some, I mean, can get an insane amount of attention to their streams and to what they're doing. Or let's say partnerships and sponsorships, like especially the crypto casinos are quite popular with that one nowadays because they're sponsoring football clubs, they're sponsoring the UFC, for example. Even Drake, like one of the biggest probably influencers in the world in general. I mean, he's promoting, I mean, specific crypto casino, and that partnerships has been, I think, very generous for both parties. So I think that the channel which exploded the most has been, or like one of them has been streaming. Partnerships definitely a good one. I would probably add if a market is regulating, because some of them are going from black and gray, or like illegal or non-regulated jurisdictions to becoming legal ones. If you have the option of legally advertising some part of the service, that's still going to grow because I think there's should be a long-term trend of newer and newer markets regulating, because I mean you cannot. I mean, if people want to do something and you cannot stop it, you're probably going to be better off regulating it and try to legally
have some
control
law
it.
Yeah.
And advertising in that case is a positive thing because it distinguishes the illegal offshore to the legal operator. So those markets and that kind of traffic can be substantial, I would say. Whereas SEO and affiliates, I mean, it's not going to go away. It's going to grow, but it's probably going to grow slower from this higher base. And it's not going to just explode overnight. And the issue with affiliates and with the SEO in general is that, I mean, over time it's it's a juicy, lucrative industry, and everyone who's been in SEO, let's say 10 years ago, and now can tell you that 10 years ago it used to be easier to make a project, make it rank, make it perform. I'm not saying how much people were searching there or how much money was generated, but SEO was a lot different 10 years ago or like 20 years ago. So it's getting tougher and tougher to execute and get the performance. And I think that's the reason why there's quite a few, I would say them, established or legacy companies which are struggling right now into generating that performance. And again, some of the public companies on the public market, I think are a proof of that.
Why are they struggling? Because it got so competitive?
Yes, from one side I would say yes. From other side, probably they always had some poor decision making. Some of the public affiliates, they were on a buying spree. They were acquiring, some smaller companies or projects, which they assumed are going to long-term be beneficial to, how they grow. And I don't think that worked out for at least some of the companies out there. And I've personally checked one of the major affiliates. They used to, announce, some major acquisitions of financial websites. And I checked their performance, I think 3 years after they announced all of them, and just seeing what is happening with those domains. And I don't want to name the company, but let's say out of 10 websites, 5 were either offline or they were dead, they were zero traffic or anything. 3 other websites were, let's say, minus 80 to 90% performance. So if they bought them, let's say, with their for a price which was let's say 2 to 4 times their profit for the next years, and I mean they basically killed them off with minus 50 or 90%. I mean that's basically a loss of those projects. Let's say one of the 10 websites was flat, I mean for that 3 years, and only one was rather better off, but something like 20-25% in terms of organic traffic, which just doesn't make up for the loss of the other ones. So, and I also think because of the game with the public markets, you always want to show growth in terms of revenue. So some players want incentivized to make media partnerships or do some kinds of PPC just to not really profit from it in terms of generating, EBITDA and profit, but they just wanted to pump up their revenue because that would show the public markets that they are growing and they're going to justify a bigger, price for their shares, which in turn is going to give them more money to make more acquisitions and try to do that forever and forever and forever until the moment where, they had 1 or 2 bad quarters and things started, rolling off the reverse. And overall, it's harder, I think, for huge public companies to be, SEO affiliates. It's like, maybe Better Collective is exception to that rule because I think they wouldn't. I mean, they're definitely not thinking of themselves like I'm a casino betting affiliate. No, their thinking is more like we want to be a premium media company with different local assets for different sports. And they're usually acquiring news-related websites, let's say for sports or even for esports, because they know that the audience is there. And yes, they're going to make money out of affiliate commissions to betting and casino partners, but they're just a standard WordPress affiliate website from those niches. No, they're having media assets, which is generating the eyeballs, which they're trying to basically, push, to the users.
And what about influencer marketing in crypto, in iGaming?
I mean, I think in iGaming it's big. I think in crypto it's huge. I think the biggest influencer lately has been Donald Trump. I mean, he probably did the biggest pump and dump of meme coin ever. So I don't know if he wanted to become a US president to do the pump and dump, but it surely worked out good for him. And crypto has been. I mean, it's changing. Some of the technology is there. Other part is not there. It's combined. It's collecting lots of people who are hoping and betting that the future is bright. And influencers is definitely a huge, boost to specific people's projects when it comes to meme coins or specific exchanges. So it's influencers is definitely probably the biggest thing in crypto. In gambling, not really, because it depends on the geo and regulation. And in some geos, I mean, if you promoted some gambling brands, I mean, you're probably going to jail just because it's so illegal locally that it's not going to work out for you. I mean, really good. Or for example, I think last year, Michael Owen, for example, like the British footballer, he was promoting a brand which was, I mean, Southeast Asian brand, and I don't think they even promoted that one in the UK, but he still got a fine from the UK Gambling Commission just because he was engaged basically in working with some offshore operator in some way. So like you should be careful if you're doing brand sponsorships and influencer marketing for iGaming companies, because you want to be sure it's either regulated or if it's grayish, you want to be sure that you're not going to have any legal consequences locally.
Yes, exactly. It can be risky for the influencer as well.
But it's going to be highly paid, but it could be risky.
Risky to the reputation as well.
Although some operators, they really want. I mean, I've seen some very aggressive marketing things from some casinos. For example, there was like one brand. I don't know, maybe some here in the region. They basically hired one of the, more famous porn stars to make some kind of, just a promotional video, not a porn video, but a promotional one. And they had some insane traction in Southeast Asia or something. It was it was very, very, very aggressive the way they did it. But if it works, it works.
Yeah, it works in different regions, right?
Yeah.
It's never the same in iGaming.
True. I mean, some people want to see, I mean, how much they can push certain topics and certain things. And I think this one worked well for these people, to be honest. I mean, they got famous overnight because I think the brand was just starting, so it didn't have, or like it was just in the beginning.
So this is one of the ways brands can establish trust with clients, right?
They're going to get the eyeballs.
Yeah.
In the end, I mean, the thing with, let's say, casinos, online casinos, is that most of the time, I mean, they have the same games from the same providers. It's not like I mean, yes, some of them have some unique original games, but it's like those tend to be not be the best ones, the most played ones. So most of the times, all casinos use the same games from Evolution, Pragmatic, NetEnt, Relax, and the other guys. So it's kind of, you can get the same things everywhere. From the betting, for betting point of view, it's a bit different because you can get different odds, better odds some places. The betting experience with Bet365 can be insanely well, whereas on some brands it can be, like, okay, it doesn't work as well. But still, most of the time, it's the service feels like a commodity because you can use it on the other brand as well, with some notable exceptions, like 365 being one of them, because they are so better off in terms of sports betting compared to the other guys. But yeah.
Yes. So how do you establish trust with players, actually?
Broadly, I would say 3 ways. First one would be, let's say, license. If you can say, okay, we're really licensed locally and so on, and people understand that you are, a local company who is going to be there, that's a good thing. Second thing would be payments, 100%, because if you can deposit with the normal payment methods locally, and when people request their payments, they always get them. It establishes, like, long-term trust. And the third one probably going to be, the way you communicate with them and the customer support, because, I mean, I'm not a casino manager and expert, but I think that you can always have some issues with some games, promotions, translations, registrations, withdrawals, whatever. And if you get in touch with the support or like the brand and they help you out, I think that's the best, the most stickiest thing you can do. Of course, trying to legitimize yourself with some, big influencer locally is going to help, but I mean, the real trust comes from using the product and understanding, okay, that's it's a good one. I mean, just having someone promote a service doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be great. And I mean, nowadays, even with deep fakes, I mean, you can actually even have some famous person promote specific brands just by generating that one on your PC, for example. So yeah, that's going to be trickier over time.
Okay, so are brand mentions important on their own, even without links?
I mean, from SEO point of view, the traditional answer has been rather no. But I think where brand mentions can help is, first of all, by users reading about, let's say, in the specific context, if this brand is either shown in a positive or negative way. If 1,000 or like 1 million people read about it, it's going to have some kind of impact on those people, if of course they remember the brand name. The second thing, which might be more important over time, is that living now with all of the AI chatbots like GPT and Gemini and so on, those brand mentions can over time be positive for your brand, because it can lead the chatbots thinking that, okay, this brand, which was associated in all of those contexts, all those 10, 100, 1,000, 1 million pages associated with that product, okay, this product is repeated in lots of places in a positive tone, so it's probably one of the best whatever category of product or services. So the way that the chatbots usually work is that, I mean, they're scraping the web and they're trying to compile the data, understand, okay, which brand is mentioned more often in with this type of service in a better way, and they, in the end, if you ask them, they just spit it out. They've never tested the payments, the games, the registrations, or anything on any casino, never. But if you ask them what is the best online casino, what is the best whatever, just because affiliates or webmasters or press release platforms or news websites repeated specific brands, they would think it's the best. But maybe that's because all of those websites were paid to speak about them. So when you have, non-data based BS content, which is just there because it's serving someone's financial interest on the affiliate websites, on the news websites, whatever. The more you have it and it speaks about specific brands, the more you can expect to get it out of those AI bots, because they're never going to test that kind of services and products.
So what are doing different the affiliates that are successful from those that struggle?
I think they're adapting. That's definitely the first thing, because SEO, it was different. When I started doing SEO, it was one thing, and it's always changing. I'm not saying it in the romanticizing way where SEO is an art, you have to go around it. No, SEO is a game, and you probably want to try to abuse the system and try to break it, because if you do it successfully, you can be better off, so to say. But the most adaptive people, I think, are going to be the ones which are more successful, or the ones which are having the most authoritative, aged, and relevant domains. Because every industry has the, let's say, casino.orgs or gurus. Some very old domains, very good products, very authoritative, which, you cannot imagine them just disappearing overnight, or, even if they get hit by something and they lose, let's say, a sizable portion of their traffic, they're still going to be a factor in 1 to 5 years and so on. But, most people don't have the luck of having those domains and having started so long ago. So for them, it's like, what can they do with the assets they have? And just trying to adapt and be creative in their niches, geos, and approaches is going to be, I think, what is going to make them successful or not.
Okay. So let's go back to SEO a little bit. What are the Blackhat strategies that still work?
I would say it probably depends where you test it, because as we spoke previously, in some geos and languages, you're more likely to succeed, let's say, with expired domains and redirects, whereas in others, you might get some kind of result, but the competition might be so high that it's not going to cut it. So I think still that, PBNs are part of the mix. Expired domains, using redirects. CTR manipulation has been a buzz in the last year or two, so to say. I've heard about some really good, very successful experiments with that one. So I think that all of the things which are kind of shady and not just like the normal white hat stuff, they're still
great.
they're still going to be working somewhere somehow. And I think after some, even if links and something used to be more important and it kind of get devalued, I think it's a matter of time before Google kind of forgets about it. Not forget, but like eventually start taking it more into their algorithms and showing more websites which are abusing it. Because I think no filter or no kind of update is kind of forever. I think that usually something gets hit, people stop using it because it's widely publicized by Google that you shouldn't be doing, reputation abuse, or, let's say, that one parasite articles, or trying to repurpose that many domains, or get, insane amount of guest postings with exact match anchors and so on and so on. And it tends to be so much publicized and discussed within the SEO community that people stop, using it. And after some times, though, it starts kind of showing some positive signs, like even, I wouldn't say that all of the forum stuff and the free comments and all of this has zero value, because I think definitely some people are still using it, and maybe it's actually having a decent impact for them, even though it was like completely said that Google doesn't like it, shouldn't do it, and so on. It's still having some positive impact, still, just because, again, fewer people are using it, and maybe just working for different things than what it used to work. So I would say always, test, see what works or doesn't. And maybe you succeed, maybe not, but still you learn from your experience.
How do you test?
The issue with testing with SEO is that usually that you can have the the best approach. I mean, the best taste, and it just might not be the right domain or the right language, or I mean, it just might
There's
not
so many
work.
variables, right?
Yeah, there's so many variables that you're always kind of betting that you can make the right conclusion. But still, I think the best thing would be, first of all, like having people around you who are more or less working in the same industry and still testing and telling you what is working for them, maybe in other geos, in other languages, and also doing your tests yourself. But you're never going to have, all things being equal type of test, because it's not how it works. Maybe you can isolate it, but it tends to take longer to be absolutely sure, and it takes more tests. Not like a single page or a single domain or something. It takes more than that.
So we're almost out of time, but I wanted to ask you two more questions actually, because I'm interested in branded keyword hijacking, because it's not only about the lost traffic, but it also can mean ruined reputation. Can you share any cases? Have you seen any examples of that?
The most of the brand abuse and brand protection in that case that I've seen has been for gray to black market providers, just because if it's like, let's say if it's a regulated market and you're having your license, your trademark, all of the legal stuff, which I'm not an expert of. If someone just registered an expired domain or random domain and tries to kind of present it as being your brand name, it's kind of easy for lawyers to go and ask for a DMCA or taking it down from the hosting, from the domain, from whatever. I mean, they have some kind of process that works, or launching a DMCA. But that's because like you're a legal entity, you're licensed, you have a trademark, and you can basically defend it. Whereas for some of the gray and black market operators, it's like by default you're operating illegally.
Yes.
And you cannot go to the a local lawyer office and tell them, okay, this domain is abusing my brand traffic, I want to take it down. And they're going to ask you, yeah, but you have no license.
Exactly.
You cannot register in our, you're not registered in our country, because if you get registered and provide illegal gambling services, it's it's not the best idea in the world. So I think in the end, lots of SEOs are trying to abuse brand traffic of some of the mid and big gray and black market operators, because if they can rank for something, they can either sell the traffic back to them, pricier, or they can send it to some of their competitors and still get some financial gain. In that case, I think brand protection is a good idea for those operators. The issue is how do you rank those websites, because from the brand protection domains which I've worked on or have been connected with the projects, I think I've seen some randomness in terms of the result, because I've seen projects which work kind of instantaneously, and others which, even though they were executed in the right way, they just don't work. So redirecting then the domain somewhere else might actually produce better results, even though you've used an exact match domain of your of the brand and so on. So brand protection in that case is, if an operator believes they're going to stick around on a market and geo for long enough and try to grow their user base there, I would definitely say that, making some kind of brand protection effort is good. And it might not be registering a domain and trying to rank it. It might be trying to push your Trustpilot, your social media, your YouTube, you're having a blog, something. You just try to crowd out any affiliates or competitors trying to rank for your brand term is going to be positive, because when you start paying an affiliate commissions for people who actually know your brand and they were looking for you, it's actually a waste of money for the operator. Even though some affiliates are making lots of money out of that one, especially if you can catch brand traffic before someone fixed their technical issues on their domain, or they are rather new operator which is not established in terms of SEO and brand, or let's say that they haven't had a local versions for some geos, or their domain was blocked in those geos. You can get away with some mirror domains and some expired ones trying to do brand abuse, and it can be quite profitable for affiliates. So I would first say that some of the casino managers of the operators have to understand what's really going on, because I've spoken with some guys who have like zero understanding of this one.
Oh, wow.
And I was basically showing them, okay, you guys realize that, this affiliate has just outranked you here for that keyword, and they're actually sending the traffic to one of your main competitors. They're people like, wow, I mean, is that happening? It's like, yeah, I mean, it's like, and I mean, you should know about it.
Yeah.
And even if someone is ranking a bit lower, I mean, like, let's say 5th to 8th, but I mean, they're trying to, say negative things about your brand, like, saying that brand X is a scam, or they're going to pay you or something else. And you should use some alternative, which they either promote, or they're just trying to, do negative PR about your brand in ranking just below it. I think the only way to compete with that one is, again, if you cannot, take it down or DMC it for whatever reason, you need to push it down the SERP. So you might want to either try to do your brand protection with your, main website, your satellites or mirror domains, or your social media test by one, or you might even want to push some affiliates you're working with to kind of outrank this page, because it might be of your, of their benefit, but of yours as well, because in the end, if you cannot convince the webmaster to remove it, you might want to
outrank it.
You definitely want to outrank it. And I've heard about a story from a friend who was basically working with a brand which was, in a way, basically someone registered a domain and they were having that kind of negative, connotations on the page. This website is a scam, and they ranked it in the top 10. And basically, they were asking for some insane amount of money to stop doing it.
Really?
Yeah. And when they stop, when they get paid, they will stop doing it for 3 months, register a new domain, and start back again. Yeah. So, I mean, because they were basically understanding that, okay, we cannot, we cannot, we can rank for those kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We cannot rank for the affiliate stuff, and we cannot convert the users for whatever reasons, or it's not as good. So they find that, kind of, extorting the operators for money for that negative PR point of view was more successful for them. So yeah, I wouldn't say that's the best thing in the world to do, but
you have to deal with people like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it happens, you have to deal with that one in some way.
Yes.
And
so
your options might be limited if you are not regulated or don't have a trademark or something.
Exactly.
So yeah.
So one of the ways is like you either build your in-house SEO team, or you can outsource brand protection services, right?
Yeah. I mean, it depends.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're building an internal team or you're outsourcing it, probably depends again in how many geos you are. Because if you're only in one geo, which is with one language, I mean, it's probably not going to be as big to, hire an agency. But if you're in lots of geos, lots of languages, different products, lots of brands, I mean, yeah, you probably want to outsource and have someone internal to manage it and help out. Because it can be a massive, and of course, the bigger your brand is, there's like a lot more variations for it to be abused, because just the sheer number of searches and the types of searches can be different.
Yeah, and the number of variables that you need to monitor, right?
Yeah.
And alerts you have to be aware of. Yeah, it's a lot to take. So sometimes it's just better to outsource.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Rado. That was like full of lots of actionable tips and advice. Yes, definitely. I'm super excited for this episode, and thank you so much for coming.
Thanks, man.
And everyone who enjoyed it as well, please follow Rado on LinkedIn, follow me on LinkedIn, and subscribe to our Odyssey podcast for more episodes like that. Thank you so much again.